Ange Ball is taking over the Premier League, and as the big man is living in a dreamland, in his own words, Tottenham fans are beginning to dream. The longer they stay top of that Premier League, the longer the dream might become a wild hope that they might be able to hang on to. And if that wild hope can be hung on to long enough, maybe it could become a reality. But Tottenham Hotspur, as much as it's been a dramatic rise throughout the season, Ange is breaking all sorts of records that guys like Pep and Sir Alex Ferguson, other great managers, didn't come anywhere close to. And as Tottenham fans start to dream and think, what will the big man pull out next? What is next for Ange Postecoglou? What's the next move across the chessboard of the Ange Ball master plan? In the video today, we're going to be looking at this key intersection of the season that is really going to define Tottenham Hotspur's January transfer window and the rest of their season, as well as who I believe Ange will be going into the market to bring in to Tottenham Hotspur in January at any point in the video today. If you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers and we cannot do that without your support, guys. So if you enjoy the content here, hit the subscribe button for more, hit the like button, and jump into the comment section and let me know who you would like Ange Postecoglou to bring into Tottenham in the January transfer window. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, I think the last time I was talking about Tottenham, a lot of the fans that came into the comment section were telling me Bentancur's the man. He's going to be back in the team. Ange won't buy over him. He won't buy another guy for that position. He'll give Bentancur. He's so good. He was so good for us before the injury. He'll come back and he'll play a part in the team. And we've seen in the last match, not just Bentancur, but Bryan Gil actually come back from injury. And I know Lo Celso hasn't done much, right? But he's featured a little bit. And then when you factor that into Højbjerg, who's been very ever-present, and I think one of the generals in the dressing room for Ange, one of the experienced players that he does rely upon, I think we could see Højbjerg maybe stay the season. Tottenham might need to sell him down to FFP to maybe get some funds in to spend it elsewhere. I could see that kind of thing happening. Ange is ruthless in that respect, where he will just sell somebody if it's the right thing for him, the club, the player, any or all of the above. But Højbjerg, I do feel, is actually offering something really important to the team, particularly in the second half of matches. Ollie Skip, however, whenever I have seen him, he's offered very little. But across this midfield area and, for the most part of the attack, it does feel like there's enough numbers there, enough numbers of good enough quality, because we know that Ange, and you've seen it yourself, Tottenham fans, he's amazing at bringing the best out of an individual and piecing it in to the Ange Ball system. So I know Lo Celso, maybe even Gil, haven't really been your cup of tea so far, but similar to Pedro Porro, Romero, maybe some of these other guys that you weren't big fans of last year, I think we all back Ange to get a tune out of them if they've got a tune in them. Now, Van de Ven has been one of the signings of the season and one of the stories of the season. The left-sided centre-back is getting plaudits galore, but when you look at the defence, it's one of the key areas of the team that is very weak and very frail. If there's any injuries to Van de Ven and or Romero, the Tottenham defence, the outlook of their season dramatically changes. And with only having the likes of Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Sessegnon, Royale, these are the only defensive backup players outside of academy players in their registered squad. It does really catch your breath when you look at their squad and what they've got to play with. A lot of the attention, a lot of the focus obviously goes to Richarlison, Son. Is Son going to stay in that arrowhead position? Will he sign someone else for that role and get Son back into here? Because Richarlison is clearly the square peg in the round hole. It's not really worked out for him here, and we're getting a much better tune out of Son here, and Richarlison doesn't really seem to fit in here. Kulusevski's done really well, and I think when Solomon comes back from injury, the likes of Brennan Johnson, Valise, Heel, there's a decent attack complement here. And even if one of them did get injured, again, you might lose a bit of production, but you don't see the wheels falling off. I think Harry Kane been out and standing against that change is showing Ange doesn't need one man to score goals. He creates a team that creates routes to goal, and the team will score goals. But there is a need for one more that is clearly going to be best 11 front three nailed on, because Son isn't a spring chicken. Kulusevski's brilliant as well, but he's not going to get you 20 goals a season from this wide area here. So you need someone else that is going to bring the firepower, is going to deliver, or can help emphasise the qualities that are already here and try and get more out of some of the existing players perhaps. And how good is this? The guys at QuinnBet have enhanced their UK welcome offer where you can now get a free bet up to £35. It's for new customers to sign up only. You can check out the full terms and conditions on the website, quinnbet.com, or by clicking on the link that's in the description of this video. QuinnBet sponsor the channel. They help me make all this content that I bring to you guys. And if you're going to be doing any of this stuff anyway, putting a wee punt on, putting a wee acca on at the weekend, then by clicking on that link to create your account, you support me and all the content here at the channel. And I thank you in advance if you do so. It looks really impressive to me, but it is 18 plus. And remember, folks, always gamble responsibly. So over the next 35 days, Tottenham have got 6 of the biggest matches you could ever imagine they're going to have. There is an international break in the middle there, which offers a little opportunity for respite and recovery for the non-international players. But over this period of time, Tottenham Hotspur are going to have to play Manchester City, Chelsea, Aston Villa, West Ham, Newcastle, and Wolves as well. But those 6 teams in that such a short period of time, you've got to think that imagine Tottenham won all those games. Imagine they did, it would be party time in North London, no doubt about it. It is wild to think, and you can't possibly predict or forecast that Tottenham would go and get 6 victories out of 6 there. And you have to imagine they're going to drop points somewhere. And looking at where the team is and looking at the results they have had, for as much as it's been Ange ball, we never stop, we never give up football, there's not that many results, particularly in more recent weeks, where they've not blown teams away. There's been a lot of 1-goal decision in matches. Yeah, ever since the Burnley match, they've not scored more than 2 goals a game. So any team that can really outscore Tottenham might become a problem for them. And with how thin the defence is, I know they've not got many matches. I know 6 over 35 isn't really that bad, considering they're not playing in Europe and cups and all that kind of thing. But if one player falls out of this picture defensively, again, you're worried about how many goals they could concede, perhaps, and their inability to go and get 3 or 4 on the regular against, especially the opposition we're talking about here, are all the guys that are in Europe and Wolves. Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, it's all covered here. This is like top order Premier League opposition here. The Tottenham is used to playing, of course, season on season, but to stay in the top 4 hunt, and particularly to try and hold on to that number 1 spot as much as possible, these 6 fixtures are really going to dictate, I think, for me, the appetite in the club to, buy from a position of strength. If Tottenham go through those 6 games and get 4 wins and 2 draws, or something to that kind of effect, maybe 5 wins and a loss, whatever it might be, I could see the club really wanting to go big in January and really backing Ange. And if the results across that are modest, maybe you lose to Man City, let's say draw with Aston Villa or something like that, It might be a wee bit more tempered, there's still definitely a lot of expectations, but maybe the focus remains next season for something monumental. So I think these next 6 fixtures, Ange will be really motivated to get the best results possible, because that's just who he is. But the repercussions of, if they got something special over these next 6 games, we could see a mega January for Tottenham. Now, we've looked at where they need people in the squad. It's quite clear to see backup defence, guys that can push the front 2, but I think Van de Ven and Romero is a world-class combination. But from what I've seen at Ange from when he was at Celtic and at Yokohama, he likes 3 first-choice capable centre-backs to be at the club, and I don't really believe he'll believe he's got that to the level it could take you to the top of the Premier League especially. The latest kind of wonder kid, up-and-coming defender throughout European football that was creating a lot of headlines last season was the latest off the conveyor belt at Benfica, which is Antonio Silva. This guy broke into the Portuguese national team and created a lot of headlines domestically and in Europe for Benfica last year. But the wheels have kind of fallen off Benfica's project this year versus the last couple. They've spent quite a lot of money. They're not quite getting the form on the pitch or the results that they would have imagined. And Antonio Silva is one of the crown jewels in that squad. And with their season maybe not going the way it does, they are a selling club and they always sell their best talent to the elite teams in European football. The last defender of this kind of calibre that they sold, you'll be familiar with, Ruben Diaz, of course, of Manchester City. But at 20 years of age, Antonio Silva is definitely at that stage of his career where coming to Tottenham would offer him a lot of opportunities to develop at the top end of the game and get significant minutes in a team that's really ambitious, really young and moving forward. But also, because he is 20 and because he is developing, being behind Romero, being behind Van de Ven isn't going to be much of an issue for him, and he can firmly compete with those guys for those positions as well. Because he's 20 years of age and a wonder kid, he's somebody that I do believe Daniel Levy would look at and probably spend some money on, because he would be seen as an asset. Now, Sorare Fantasy Football scores rate players on their performances out of 100. I much prefer this metric rather than everything else you see on SofaScore and FootMob, all those out of 10 ratings, because they just don't capture enough statistics in terms of, for defenders in particular, and for a lot of those, players that aren't goal scorers and that kind of thing, like where do they play their passes? Is it in the final third? How successful are they defensively in winning all their duels and stuff? Now, I'm not going to break down all these statistics for you, but I can tell you when you're getting these types of scores against Porto here, he's made 5 effective clearances. He's won 3 actual tackles. He's won 4 out of 5 duels. He's intercepted a pass into the final third from the attacking team. He's played some balls himself into the final third. He's played some long balls into the box himself when Benfica week have maybe been a bit further up the pitch. Yeah, a bit of a bad game against Salzburg. But overall, this is a guy that at a very young age is showing at a very high level that he can do a little bit of everything. And in the Premier League, with Ange Postecoglou playing next to some of the guys I've mentioned here, I think Antonio Silva would be a fantastic addition into the squad. And I would mention Ko Itakura into this as well. He was relentlessly linked to Celtic, but through different transfers, he went to Schalke, he was on loan, and then he moved to Mönchengladbach. He's won a few Bundesliga Player of the Month. He's a very good Rolls-Royce-esque centre-back, can play defensive midfielder. And, this is a guy that he's got a bit of an ankle injury at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ange was to go in for him when he's back fit and available. There's still a little bit of time between now and the January transfer window. Gladbach have not been doing that great. But individually, as you can see here, out of 100, his ratings are still very, very good. He's still progressing. He's still developing his own game individually. And as much as Gladbach aren't doing that good, it could be a really good position to buy. And a guy like this is probably in the exact price bracket that Daniel Levy loves to see, probably sub 10 million quid. And again, he'd be very happy to come in and be like Tomiyasu. I don't want to say that because they're both Japanese, but a guy that's happy to come in, be a high-end operator, but knows he's not going to play every game week. Now, this left-back area does worry me. Desiree Udogie, again, along with Van de Ven, has been one of the talks of the season for how amazing he's been. We've not seen if Sessegnon can understudy for him, and Ben Davies, I think we're quite confident, can't. So there needs to be another option in here that can rotate with Udogie, give you backup, give you cover for if he's not fit or available, or, say you do want to rotate next season. If you're in Champions League, you'll need people that can do this job to the same level in another extra competition that's just as hard as the Premier League itself. Maxime de Kuyper is one of the most exciting up-and-coming left fullbacks in European football. Over the last few seasons, he's developed in a real steep upward curve. Been on loan from Bruges and other teams in the Belgium Jupiler Pro League. He's now been back at Bruges and he's really making a big name for himself. As you can see here, his scoring profile out of 100 this season alone is very significant. Now, this is in the Belgium Jupiler League. He does get more possession. He's a very dominant team. But if you watch him play, he's a very clever, very versatile fullback. And at the kind of age he's at, again, a move to Tottenham, it's not going to be the situation where you would expect to, outseat Udogie. But again, he's somebody who very capably could on ability, and that's the level of competition that you would want. Being at Bruges, being in the Belgian league, again, there's not going to be a massive transfer fee attached to this, which could be right up Daniel Levy's street again. But if you were going to try and spend big and push the boat out a little bit further for a left back, Adrien Truffier, the French youth international left back, likened in playstyle to Theo Hernandez, very attacking, very bombastic, very Ange ball, we never stop, and he would cost a few more quid coming from Rennes, of course. He's been playing a little bit longer, he's got a lot more international pedigree with France youth teams and such, and this is a guy that, I would love to see playing in an Ange ball system. Now, when it comes to who do you buy to fill in this forward role position here, it really does depend on reading the manager's mind, and, is he happy with Son in here? Is this a long-term solution? Does he want, Son back out here and Richarlison bombed out and replaced or something like that? So it's really hard to work out. Now, I'm of the opinion that Ange is probably going to come back to Celtic at some point and try and sign one of our players. Now, Celtic have recently, you might not know this, but we have just Tottenham-proofed all of our players. They're all on big, juicy 5-year contracts. And because of that, none of them will be that cheap. And I think that Ange will probably come back for one. I'm not too sure which one he will come for, but I think it will be someone in the forward line. I suspect it would either be Daisen Maeda or Kyogo Furuhashi. Now, if it is Kyogo Furuhashi, he is going to play in this arrowhead position, no two ways about it. If it's Daisen Maeda, he could maybe feature on the left, he could maybe feature on the right, or like he does for Japan, he could maybe feature through the middle as well. His finishing quality and his finesse on, passing and that kind of thing is not Premier League level yet, but all of his other attributes very, very good. Whereas Kyogo, his finishing is very much Premier League level. His pressing is very much Premier League level. His passing creativity is definitely there as well, but under Ange, you just don't get to see that. He's the arrowhead, he's a finisher, he's the fox in the box to complete the moves and put it away. So I'd be interested to hear from you guys in the comment section. If you were to take a Celtic player, would it be Tate, would it be O'Reilly, Maeda, Kyogo? Is there anyone that you would fancy bringing in particular? But outside the Celtic, there is clear arrowhead striker that I believe Ange would try and bring in and maybe relieve Son back into the wing position here, and then maybe use Richarlison as backup to the incoming person. And that would have to be Santiago Jimenez. Now, the Mexican forward has been making waves across Europe over the last kind of 18 months or so with his goal-scoring exploits for Feyenoord, now also in the Champions League. As you can see here, lots of high scores. Anything over 60, I can almost guarantee this will have a goal involvement in it, whether it be a goal or an assist. But not just that, as you can see, he's doing more, not just scoring goals or slipping an easy pass for someone else to strike it for a token assist, but he's playing regular passes into attacking wingers. He's winning aerial duels. He's doing all this kind of work on top of being that arrowhead striker, which again is very Ange ball, we never stop. Feyenoord might actually do pretty well in the Champions League group stage this year, which might inflate this guy's price and might make him a wee bit more difficult to get in the January window. But typically, Tottenham going to Feyenoord, it should be a deal that should be able to get done. And I think this is a guy that really could hit the ground running, come in January and really help Tottenham's cause to go on and cement that top 4 spot. And, you know, who else? Who knows what else even over and above all that. It's going to be really interesting to see how this next passage of games does work out for Ange and for Tottenham. I'll be rooting for you. I hope you get as many points as possible, except for against Man City. Because I want to see Tottenham go all out in the transfer window. I want to see Ange backed fully. What would ultimate Ange ball look like if he could go into the transfer market and get whoever he wants to add into that team? I find it a wildly exciting idea. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. On screen there now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and retweet. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.